Hey everybody, it's Tony Schiavone of All Elite Wrestling, and this is True Hill Heat. And I said it right, you motherfuckers.
Alright, this is Danhausen here, very nice, very evil. You are watching True Heel Heat. Probably should have had MJF do this, but here we are.
Alright, ready when you are.
Hey guys, I may have go away heat, but these guys have true heel heat. So you better listen to the podcast or else I'm gonna kick you in your fucking cock and balls.
I'll get it.
Hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3, and we are live on the True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel, as well as True Hill Heat Facebook, for the first time live, talking about this series as we are going to break down the latest installment in the horror franchise and the #1 movie in the world, for better or worse, Scream 7. I am here and I am joined by my fellow Scream enthusiasts, the one and only StatKing John Martin. StatKing, how the hell are you? How are you doing?
Doing all right. This was an interesting movie.
Interesting is correct. That is correct.
They got the box office numbers that they're looking for. I mean, they basically have already greenlit Scream 8, so they got what they wanted. But did we get what we want? I don't know. We're gonna get into that.
all I can say is I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, I did not get what I wanted with this. As you can see from my headline, I can smell the desperation on this film. Yes, we appreciate y'all for joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. You can drop a thumbs up on this video. You can share this video with all of your Scream family, friends, and fans on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. You can see plenty of other Scream content that we got here on the channel. We're going to be doing something special for later on this week as well for you to enjoy. So you got some more stuff from Scream from us here on the channel, but we got reviews for The Pit. We talk about the NBA and the NFL on this channel, as well as TV and movies like Scream 7. So hit the subscribe button. It's a great time to be a part of the True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel. And of course, if you're with us on demand, sound off in the comment section. If you're with us live, sound off in the live chat, and you could be a part of the Scream conversation in the live chat with us today. We pre-recorded most of our retro reviews of the Scream series, but we wanted to go live and talk about Scream 7 with all of you. So sound off in the live chat and become a part of the conversation. We got Josh D from CT who says movie gets 2 thumbs up if Hangman Page wasn't in it. So I guess it gets 2 thumbs up from him. He hates Hangman Page. If you're new, StatKing, he that's his thing.
Well, what did I ever do to deserve an empty-headed? That's a different topic.
StatKing is saying he totally agrees with you. But yes, before we break down this movie, StatKing, what was your overall thoughts on Scream 7? I'll let you go first.
So we're gonna obviously at the end of this we'll do our number rankings, and I had to take a step back because like I know like I have my reasoning for why I gave Scream 3 a 7 because it was the first one for me out of the franchise, and I had a similar off the cuff response in our chat when we were talking about this one, and then I stopped and I thought about it, and I had to remind myself that I personally watch a lot of Hallmark movies.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of any kind of murder mystery that you can possibly create. So like I'll watch it. And so I'm used to like a wide gamut of quality. But like Hallmark doesn't claim to be a Hollywood production. And Colleen's a big Hallmark person when it comes to the romance side of things. And we get into the whole Christmas countdown and all that kind of thing. So when I originally gave the number ranking in the chat,
You were comparing it to Hallmark movies.
I was comparing it to that. I had to take a step back, and I was like, I'm holding this to the standard of all movies that I watch. I should not be doing that because Hallmark doesn't claim to be a Hollywood level of production. This one did.
but there was times that it did look like a Hallmark movie. I you know what? I said some harsh things. I told StatKing that his original rating that he gave right after he got out the theater, I told him he was being way too generous, like giving all your Christmas gifts to Goodwill generous.
I read that out loud, and Colleen, we were in the car. I read that out loud to Colleen. Colleen's like, "That's kind of harsh." I was like, "Wow."
I mean, I'm not being harsh to you.
No,
I'm
I
being
know.
harsh on this movie because I had just got out the theater and I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, I disagreed with your rating for Scream 3, but we weren't that far apart. You gave it like a 7 out of 10. I give it a 6.5 out of 10 because up until this movie, I had long been going years of saying Scream has never delivered a bad movie. And then I watched this movie the same morning.
Because the thing is, there's parts of this that are like good. There's 5-10 minute stretches of this where it's good, or like you can kind of be like, I see where they were going. I see how they just missed the mark. I'm like, I'm comfortable with it. Then there's other parts of it where you're like, but wait a minute. Not only does some of the things that we're seeing not make sense, they're actually kind of going backwards in terms of character development that we saw different people go through. And so, I guess it's interesting though, because like it made me it does make me reevaluate the Sidney Prescott versus like Sam Carpenter comparison, because like one person's immediate response to something like this versus another person's immediate response to something like this, they both had the let's leave kind of thing.
Yes.
But both of them also, but one of them, once leaving didn't seem like it was going to be an option, was like, all right, well then we're just going to strap up and we're going to kill everybody. And Sidney was like she's very avoidant. And so I don't know. Well, I don't know if you want to go like kind of chronologically things that happen like from the beginning of the movie through the end, like how do you want to do it? But there's a lot.
I have the plot here. I have some my individual notes, and then I have the plot that's online about those things.
Plot is being kind of generous, but
I'm giving all my Christmas gifts to Goodwill myself by calling it a plot. We do got Josh Steve says he rides out for motherfucking SP3, though. I appreciate you for that. We also got Aubrey James in the chat. Good. Thank you for joining us. He says it's incredibly stupid that Sidney didn't train her daughter. That is the least of the issues with this.
That's actually, the thing is, her not doing that, actually, that's one of the things that actually makes sense. Like, that's one of the things that actually makes sense. And it's like, all right, well, maybe you should have taught her something.
Yeah. In retrospect, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that should have been the thing. We got Power Driver Finisher. He says, not gonna lie, these reviews are actually getting me hyped for Scary Movie. I did watch the Scary Movie trailer. A+ stuff. Even showed my missus earlier today, and even she laughed. And she told me that this is the first time she's told me that she's never watched any of the Scary Movies. So I'm at least gonna need to show her the first two, because I stopped. I don't really remember 3, through 5 at all, because I don't think I watched 4 or 5. I think I did watch 3, but I don't remember it that well. But the first 2 scary movies were excellent stuff.
So as you know, outside of like Disney movies and Harry Potter's, Colleen had never seen any movie, with the exception of like the first Captain America, until she started dating me. And so I'm not that big of a horror fan, but I have seen the scary movies. And so I never showed them to her because I was like, she's not going to get the references. Now she's starting to get more of the references. She would, because she's seen all the screams. But we're watching the trailer for this one, and so like she's getting it because now they're doing things that are much more like Sinners and the Substance. And that kind of stuff. So she hasn't seen the Substance. She saw Sinners, but she at least knows like what it's about. So like she has some interest in seeing Scary Movie 6, because when we were to the theater, it comes up and it's a Red Band trailer, and she's already thinking, oh god, they're showing us horror movies trailers. So she's like, no, not Red Band. People are gonna die. You know my wife, so she's like shut up.
Not that. But yeah. My missus especially laughed because we had just seen like Sinners like a month and a half ago. So she definitely enjoyed the part. Do some half gay stuff. What you mean half gay? I was like, Ray is back. Let's go, Ray. That's the best character for scary movie. That's why I didn't watch 3 through 5, because it didn't have the Waynes. Once it didn't have the Waynes, I was out. I was like, I'm tapping out. I'm good. But yes, let's talk about this movie, though. I know we're trying our best to not talk about it, but let's talk about it. So we'll start chronologically. So we start with our opening, which we always are big fans of the opening. So this opening, it starts in Woodsboro. We do hear the couple that is arriving at the Stu Macher house, listening to True Crime podcasts that basically speculate about if Stu Macher. It was like, yeah, Stu Macher was seen at Windsor College in 1997, which is a great kind of meta commentary, because we talked about that in our Scream 2 review, that he was at the party, Matthew Lillard in a blonde wig. So we meet Stab franchise fan Scott and his girlfriend Madison, who are visiting Stu Macher's house as like an Airbnb after hearing rumors that he might have survived having a television thrown on his head. They go to the house, and you have Scott, who's a big Stab fan, and basically like taking pictures. He was like, oh, this is where Billy Loomis died. And how did he die? To Madison, oh, he got stabbed with an umbrella. And then Sidney shot him in the head. And then he's like, oh, this is where Richie died. Oh, this is where Amber Freeman got lit on fire by Gale Weathers and Sidney Prescott. Oh, I was like, this guy's a dweeb. They see an animatronic ghost face that scares Madison at first. She runs and gets him, and then it's like hand motion, and it's going around doing it and saying all the screen face phrases, and then they get a call from the Airbnb owner who does them scary movie trivia. And actually, Madison does better than Scott at this, ironically. She says she's going to be getting more into it, but then she gets a call from Ghostface when Scott uses the bathroom. And Ghostface says that you're going to get killed. And then this leads to basically the animatronic Ghostface becomes the real Ghostface and basically kills him. Kills Scott. Scott stabs him in the chest and then in the back, and then stabs him through the skull.
The eye. When the eye changed, that was. I mean, it's in the rankings for best kill, not just in this movie, in the franchise.
That is a dope ass kill. And then we get a nice little chase with Madison, who runs up the stairs. I do feel it is unfortunate though that the whole trailer gives away this whole opening scene. Like it's the one kill with Scott, that's fun and it's good, but the trailer gave away the opening to this because it basically shows you that Madison's gonna fall off the chandelier, fall onto Ghostface with the knife. He stabs her, and then he lights Stu Macher's house on fire. Which I will say, I like this opening in a vacuum.
Correct.
Let me just get in a vacuum. It's cool, but once you get to the ending and you find out who Ghostface is, this makes no sense. It makes no sense at all.
because there's no in every previous time that somebody passed away, was killed in the opening scene, it has some kind of connection to our characters. This has zero connection. Not only does it have zero connection, but the fact that the point of this was to burn down the house. When Sidney finds out that the house got burned down, she's just like, thank you, next. Like, she's like, she doesn't give a shit. She's just like, all right, cool. Like, the house burned down. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean to me, but all right. I will say though, like, the idea that somebody had the bright idea to buy the house and turn it into a stab Airbnb, like that, at least I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. But that has no bearing on like anything.
And it's so illogical and doesn't make sense when you think about it for more than a second. Why would these killers go from Pine Grove, Indiana, take a flight to Woodsboro, do this for no reason other than, I guess it's to signal Ghostface is back? I don't understand it at all. And then they flew back to Pine Grove, and we see all these people within a day of this happening.
It again, and see, the thing is, when you saw this in the trailer, you thought that the climax of the movie was gonna be at the Stu Macher house. So like, as soon as this happens, you're like, but wait a minute, unless somehow, some way, this is going, like, at first I was like, okay, so before he starts getting the gasoline, I'm like, okay, so is something going to happen where Sidney's going to have to come back to Woodsboro because of what's going on? Or was she always in Woodsboro? Did she just stay, like, because she's like, I'm going to live my life, I'm not going to be afraid, I'm just going to live in Woodsboro. Is she there already? Like, is that what's happening here? And then he's like getting ready to light the building on fire. I'm like, but this was from the trailer. I thought this was going to be the climax. And then all of a sudden the house is burned down. And I'm like, all right, well, arson. Okay,
just arson for the sake of arson, I guess. We got Jose, who's been joining us in the live chat for the premieres of our Scream reviews. Appreciate you, good brother. He says, I'm still going to say Scream 3 was worse, but 7 was a tough watch. Saying that, I am also not surprised it's the highest opening weekend in the series and that 8 is happening. I agree with the second part, that it's not surprising because the promotion for this movie was fantastic. It was fantastic. It got people excited and like it did its job, but I disagree with that first part. Scream 3 is no longer the worst for me.
I might actually have to retroactively add a 0.5 to Scream 3.
I might have to go 7 for it now. I have to go 7 for it. It was at least Scream 3, like it had its own like shady, production and pre-production and all of that. But like, you have to understand, this Scream 7 is not even, it's not plan A, it's not plan B, it's plan C. It's plan C, and it's the most desperate attempt to get any type of Scream nostalgia into a movie. Like, plan A was Radio Silence was going to do their third film, finish the trilogy, and it was going to be the story of basically that we've heard from Skeet Ulrich of Sam becoming the Ghostface. Yeah. Then plan B was when Radio Silence basically dropped out, and I think it was Scott Landry was going to be the director. He wanted to basically write the same story and do that story. And then the whole Melissa Barbera stuff happens and she drops out of it, or her contract's not renewed. She didn't get fired. Her contract's not renewed.
Yeah, because she said this in an interview where she signed a 2-picture deal. Because I think they signed a 2-picture deal with the idea being they didn't know how successful the first one was going to be because this is a reboot. So they were like, let's not get these people on the hook for 3 pictures because then you have to bump up how much you're going to pay them. Let's do a 2, and then we can always renew for a 3rd or like add a 3rd on. And, so we'll talk about people getting fired, but actually not fired according to them.
And then a lot of people, I know when it originally happened, was like, oh, Jenna Ortega was standing with Melissa in regards to Melissa getting a clip. No, Jenna Ortega is just one of the biggest actresses in the world, and probably wanted more money or didn't have time to do it, and she dropped out as well. So Scott Landry, who was supposed to be the director, he dropped out. He was like, I wanted to tell a story with the character Sam, so if she's not going to be in it, I'm not going to be in it. And then they said, you know what? We're going to throw everything into this plan C. We're bringing back Nev Campbell, and we're actually going to pay her the money that she wanted for Scream 6 and probably a boost on that. And we'll pay her all the money we're going to give to Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera. We're gonna bring back Kevin Williamson, the original writer of Scream. We're gonna bring him in, and he's gonna be the director and the writer. And then we're also gonna bring in all these cameos. We're gonna bring back Matthew Lillard. We're gonna have David Arquette. We're gonna have all these other former Ghostface, and that's why I put my headline. You can smell the desperation on this film.
Yeah, it's from that opening scene, because like you're thinking, all right, this is it, and then you're thinking like to yourself, like, remember when we were talking Scream 5 or Scream / Scream 5, and I was talking about like how my favorite scene is when Sam gets the phone call with Sidney and Gale, and they make her realize the house that she's in, and they do the pan out from the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Your point was they put that in the trailer. And so, like, if you're smart enough to go, that's that house when you're watching the trailer, you then already know, right? In this situation, it wasn't even a situation where you had to be smart enough to figure out what doorway she's standing in. They showed the house burning down. And so you're like, all right, cool. This is going to be relevant to what's going on. And it's like, no, it's not going to be relevant to what's going on.
Not at all. Not at all. Then we go to Pine Grove, Indiana, where Sidney Prescott has built a new life for herself. She is married to the police chief, Mark Evans, runs a coffee shop, and looks after her children, including her teenage daughter, Tatum, named after Sidney's late best friend, Tatum Riley. We get Tatum. They do a scene right out of the first Scream where Tatum's in her room and her boyfriend comes through the window and comes to visit her, and they even play the same music that they played for the Billy and Sidney scene from Scream 1. And then you have a parent who comes in, and of course, like Sidney's dad, she just knocks and then comes right in, doesn't care about saying come in, and she realizes Sidney is smart enough to realize that the boy's under the bed because she's been there before. She's done all of this. And the boyfriend was talking about a scary movie. He was talking about Stab, and he's like, I saw Sidney's boyfriend come into the window, so I thought it would be a cool idea. Yeah. So she basically, you can see that Sidney is a very overprotective mother. She even like giving the boyfriend a hard time. Boyfriend's like, "Oh, I'm a good guy." He's like, "I don't want to hear it. You could be a killer." Sidney's just living her life. We see her go to like work at the coffee shop, and in comes Lucas, this crime mystery fan. He's played by the Sam from Gen V, which I knew him from that. And immediately when I saw he was in this movie, I was like, he has to be a Ghostface. And I think that would have been a better payoff than what we'd get. And his mom, Jessica, comes in with him, and she's basically telling him not to give her a hard time because he's talking about wanting to interview her for his true crime podcast. And she has like a little sit down with Jessica, and Jessica talks about how her husband was abusive and how she had to leave him. And Sidney's like asking her for like advice on her relationship with Tatum, because you can see that they're pretty distant with each other when they're even at the house. You get Tatum, who comes in the leather jacket that Sidney wore in Scream 2, and she gets very like sensitive about that. And even when Tatum tries to ask her different questions about her former life, Sidney doesn't really want to get in depth with that and doesn't want to answer all those questions. She's basically trying to shield her from her former life. I think the Sidney Tatum dynamic is the best part of this movie.
Yeah, it's weird because like I on the one hand, I'm trying to figure out like what does Tatum want from this woman? It's like she clearly does not want to talk to you about this. And the thing is, Sidney never in the movie, she never runs from the fact that she's Sidney Prescott, right? Like she says, I'm Sidney Evans, right? Like she'll say that, but she never runs from the fact that of what her past is and what her life is. So if you're Tatum, you have access to all these movies, all these interviews with other people, these books that were written by Gale, your mother's own self-help book. You can see all those things, but I guess like there is that level of, so like when she's saying you don't talk about it ever, like in Sidney's mind, it's like, well, everything's been talked about. Like, why do I need to talk about anything if it's already been discussed? I do get like Tatum's idea of, well, this is how we bond. Like, you tell me these things, like what it was for you from your perspective. But like, she also completely misses the fact that your mom's still going through the trauma of having been attacked and stabbed a whole bunch of times, and she doesn't really want to get into it like that. But I mean, teenagers are teenagers, so I mean, I get it. But yeah, you're right. It is the best dynamic because it really is the heart of the movie, right? Like, it is the in a different realm, in a different roll of the dice. You could see how Melissa Barrera / Jenna Ortega, or both, would have been playing relatives of Sidney Prescott in some other version of Scream 5 and 6, and it would have been a passing of the torch this way. Now we're getting it, but it's like, it's sort of, I guess, more on Nev Campbell's terms of how that torch is being passed and developed. So I get it, and I like it, and it really is the heart of the movie.
Yeah, and I think it's the fact also that Nev Campbell, Sidney Prescott, has not been front and center as the lead of Scream since Scream 2.
Right.
Because she was that in like the back half of Scream 3, but we spend like the first half of the movie where she's in her secluded location. Scream 4 is kind of split between her and Jill. Scream 5, she's basically like a guest star, and then she's not in Scream 6. So it's been nearly 30 years since we really had Sidney as the star, the front and center of the movie. So this does feel like more of a formal passing of the torch than it was between the Sidney and Sam and Tara characters.
Yeah. I just also think it's funny, like the sort of petulance of a teenager, where it's like, where did you get this jacket? I just like went into our attic, got it, came down, threw it on, and then when you're getting upset about it, I'm acting like you are oppressing me. It's like, it's not even.
All she said was you could have asked. That's all she said.
Not even like you're being mean to me or anything. She's acting like you're oppressed, like you are grounding me. You are telling me I'm a piece of shit and kicking me while I'm down, kind of thing. Like, that's her response to this. And I love the dad. The dad's just like, this one's getting about you. I'm like, in what world? In what world?
You're being a sympathetic father. I get it.
This asshole child went up into the attic, found a jacket that doesn't belong to her, came downstairs with it, and was just like, oh, I'm gonna walk out the house wearing this. Like, her response should have been like, well, at least I'm covered, like, right? Like a teenage girl would be like, I'm wearing clothes. Like, aren't you happy?
Aren't you happy? Texture in the chat, thanks for pointing that out. That's why we did it live, guys, so you guys can help us out. He says Christopher Landon was hired to direct Scream 7 from Happy Death before Marissa Barrera got fired. I think that's who you are thinking of, not Scott. Yeah, I don't know where I got Scott from, but yes, Christopher Landon was the original director before everything happened with Melissa. So Sidney's at her coffee house, and she's in her office, and she receives a call from Ghostface. She immediately starts recording it. She's just putting her coffee on the shelves. She's just acting like it's a normal day. He requests for a video call and reveals himself as an aged and scarred Stu Macher. I was like, let's go, Stu. The Stu stands. We're back. We're back, so baby.
Validated. You felt so validated.
I felt validated. I was like, yeah. Stu announces that he is going after Tatum and is standing outside of her school, the theater where she and her classmates are rehearsing. Sidney rushes over there. She calls her husband so the police can go over there as well. She arrives with the police as Ghostface flees right after killing Tatum's classmates, Hannah and Aaron. They had Hannah, who I forget her name, but she's been in, like, she was Paige
McKenna
on
Grace.
Young Sheldon. Huh?
McKenna Grace.
McKenna Grace is like an up-and-coming actress. Like, she's done a lot of TV. She was on Young Sheldon for a couple of seasons. I think that she's just got cast for like a major role. I forget what show it was, but yeah, she just got cast for that. They did nothing with this character. They did nothing with any of Tatum's friends. That's why, like,
yeah, her friends were kind of pointless in this entire movie. Like, all of them. Like, not even a situation where like one of them got something that, you know, there's something build up to potential. No, like all of them really were useless in this movie. Her friend, like this character's real contribution was to talk about the fact that she was going to host a party at her house, to which I said, oh, we're going to get another college age party, right? And then immediately dies. And I was like, oh, we're not getting that party.
So we're not getting the party? And then oh man, even the kill, like it was cool, like it's cool concept with the kill where she's hanging, she's doing the play and she's getting hanged above and she's getting like slashed at the same time, and then finally Ghostface cuts her open, and then they just ruin it with the CGI. Like CGI really kind of took me out of a couple of these kills that would have been cool kills, but once it got too CGI, I was just like, all right.
You know what it was? I think they saw those two like flash frames from Scream 6 where we see the boyfriend in the bathroom and the first guy cut up in the fridge, and they were like, well, it seemed as though audiences liked the gore aspect of it. And it's like Scream, yes, but like more, but what Scream is it's like the understated aspect of the gore. Like you can have it, but you don't like the imagination aspect is far better for the viewing audience for this kind of movie. Like if it was a regular, slasher kind of thing, then yeah, absolutely. That's what people are there for. That's not what they're here for this.
Yeah. We want more kind of realistic. It has to be a real. That's what made Scream 6 better for me. There was a lot of realistic kills to it to go along with the over the top cutting people up stuff. So later that night we get Sidney. She rushes Tatum and her husband home. They have the police check everywhere, all the doors in the house, but no one checks the attic. No one checked the attic.
Which then made me go, all right, I will slightly forgive the jacket scene simply because the jacket scene was designed to make us go, oh, this house has an attic. That's the reason why she steals the mom's jacket. It has no bearing really whatsoever. Like, because if you remove that, there's enough of the tension between the mom and the daughter that you don't need it. The sole purpose of having that scene in there is for us later, when the camera pans up, we go, oh yeah, there is an attic. That's it.
That's
and
it.
I'm like, all right.
That's all that.
How come nobody checks the attic?
I will say the whole sequence following this when Ghostface emerges from the attic, really good stuff. Probably like the best 10, 15 minutes of the whole film. Because you get Ghostface who holds Tatum at knife point with Mark and Sidney basically trying to help her, and then Mark attacks Ghostface, but he gets knocked out. I was like, way to go, police chief.
Bro, he should have been able to take that shot.
Yeah.
There was enough of a gap, and maybe that's like I'm looking at it because like I was in the army and all that, but I'm like, you had space to take the shot. You're supposed to be the police chief. You train on this this weapon system. Like you could be able to pull this shot. I get it. It's your daughter. All right. I'm just saying you could have solved.
But the daughter freaking ducks down and he just attacks them instead of shooting them. I was like, okay. I know he dropped his gun, but you could pick up the gun. You got to be fast if you a police chief. Like, I'm just saying. He gets knocked out when he falls down the stairs. Sidney takes Tatum into a safe room to evade Ghostface and uses the room's alternate exit to leave the house. This is another one where the trailer gave away one of the best parts of the movie with Ghostface putting the knife through the wall and stuff. That's great. That's a great dramatic and tension filled scene, but it's already given away in the trailer. Ghostface chases them, but he fights the husband Mark outside, and he's about to kill him. She tells Tatum to run and get the police. Mind you, the police are right outside. But they heard gunshots. They heard a commotion in the house, and they never came in. There's a lot of instincts in this movie where you're just like, where the fuck are the police? Where the fuck is this character? Where the fuck is anybody? Like, seriously. So then he's fighting Mark. Sidney hits Ghostface over the head with the mail blocks, and then Ghostface is standing in the middle of the street, and he just gets run down. So that's like the completion of the best 10-12 minutes of the movie. And this is the only time in the movie that I popped is when he comes out the truck and it's Gale Weathers with Chad and Mindy. I'm like, yes, let's go. Gale, let's go. You got him, Gale. So Gale is with Chad and Mindy, tells her to pull out the camera and stuff. Once Ghostface, Sidney, Gale and Sidney, they embrace each other and they said, let's unmask this motherfucker. And they unmask Ghostface, and Sidney recognizes him as a suspicious man who got a coffee at the coffee shop earlier today, but all of them remark that it's no one that they actually know. And the police discovers that he is Carl Gibbs, a murderer who escaped from a nearby mental institution. So it's like, I like the fact that they subvert expectations here and unmask a Ghostface in like the middle of the movie. But, it was quite obvious when it's no one they know that there's another Ghostface, there's other killers involved in all of this. But we would be eventually let down by all of this. But what did you think about this whole sequence from the house to Ghostface getting ran down?
So from when Ghostface comes down from the attic, I agree with you. Some of the best parts of this movie, I think it's, I think it's I think probably with you. I think it's the best part. The only thing I could think would maybe top it for me is when a little bit later in the movie, when
the coffee shop
when she's in the the office. Just because of like the emotional aspect of it, I think for me it might top it. But outside of that, this is the best part. Especially my favorite part is in that corridor, in that little, like, they're trying to get past it, and Ghostface is just tapping. And he's like, oh, this is hollow. Okay, let's find out what's a hollow. But the idea that, of course, like, I'm Sidney fucking Prescott, of course I'd have a safe room, like that kind of aspect of it. They did sort of build up this idea that the house is still kind of under construction, or they're doing some kind of renovations to it, particularly with the garage and things like that. So they did do a little bit of setup for why something like this would be here. The idea that the daughter has unpacked the go bag, right? Like, Sidney's like, why would you do that? And Tatum's like, but why wouldn't I do that? Because it's not weird. You don't think it's weird that we should have a go bag? But see, that's the kind of thing that I'm like, okay, Tatum, I can understand that your mom doesn't want to talk about these things. But again, it's not as though she hides and says she's only Sidney Evans and people around her don't know. Everybody knows who she is. So that means you probably know about the stab movies, you know about the books and all that kind of thing. Why would you unpack the go bag? Like, even if you are like, even if you're mad that like your mom won't talk about it, why would you not? Well, like, there's enough evidence that whatever it is real. Like, you should be prepared for this. And so later when she's talking about, like, because earlier in the when she's with the boyfriend, she's like, am I like not a fighter? Am I not a survivor? Like, what is it that you love about me, or what is it that you like about me? Like, she's going through these struggles of figuring out who she is. And it's like, well, your mom's giving you some kind of clue about the kind of person that you could be, or that maybe you in your mind should be, and that you could be your role model. Like, when she's telling you to be safe, or she's advising you on different things, like, sometimes you got to just, until you learn to pick up on the cues, you have to kind of do that on your own. The husband, I don't know, like, great character on paper, some good execution, some things here and there, like, kind of get some mistakes, but like, he was willing to scrap. He was willing to scrap for his family. I can at least appreciate that. I'm like, all right, cool. This guy's willing to die to protect his wife and daughter. That's great. And I like the part where they were like, okay, so Ghostface is back. What's going on with Grandma and the other two kids? It's like I've already told Grandma. You just imagine Grandma's out there with a shotgun, like,
Grandma's like, my son married Sidney Prescott. I know I got to be prepared.
But yeah, it was but then I don't know, like, a part of me, you popped for it, like, the idea that Gale is the person driving the car and everything, and I'm just like, that's just really convenient. is just really
Just perfect timing, you know.
It's just really convenient. I'm like, I get the idea that Gale heard about this and was on her way, right? Like she thought, oh, there's a burning in Woodsboro. I should come here. Like, I get that part of it, right? But like that she happened to arrive exactly at the time when there would be a ghost face standing in the driveway, in essence, or the road, and she just goes, let's just floor it and hit. They could have come up with something a little bit better. Like, but yeah. I get it.
But yeah, I just like seeing Gale, even though they've kind of ruined, I'm not gonna front, between the last 3 movies, they kind of ruined all of Gale's story progression. Like, they set up a cool little story for Gale to like gain more sympathy and like progress as a character in Scream 5, and then they kind of have thrown it all away since Scream 6. Like we talked about when we reviewed Scream 6, her choosing to not write the book about Dewey and write the book about the murders instead. It just brought her right back to Gale in Screams 1 and 2, and then her in this movie, she has some instances where she's not a good friend to Sidney once again. And so it's just like all the progression and the stuff of Gale growing up and expanding upon everything that they've built up for this character, they've kind of thrown it by the wayside in the last 2 movies.
Yeah, it does, because like, it does kind of come across as though Gale is, I don't want to say like bitter. I don't think bitter is the word I'm looking for. It seems as though she's trying to chase the last vestiges of relevance or money that she can. And the idea that, as they explain, she was fired from her job, and then she says, I wasn't fired, they just didn't renew my contract, which, outside of the movie, it's like, that's a shot. And so it's just weird. That is weird to me. Like the fact that Courtney Cox would have been comfortable saying that. Like, you have to imagine there was some level of camaraderie or some level of understanding that was developed between her and Melissa Barrera, just as women, just as actresses, just as like, not even like who their characters are supposed to be, but just as individual human beings. But it is what it is. But that idea that she says that to Sidney, or I think Sidney has an excuse as to why she's no longer, or why she's doing what she's doing now. But it's just this idea that it sort of feels like she's a storm chaser, if that sort of makes sense. Yeah. Like there's a twister or there's a hurricane out there, and she's like, I'm going to go chase it. And that is what she was, to your point, in the first 2 movies. So it just, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right.
No. Oh, and the weirdest addition to this is the fact that we have 2 of the core 4, Chad and Mindy, and we're just gonna not mention the Carpenter sisters by name at all. We couldn't even get like a passing line of like, oh yeah, they're busy doing this. Like we just are not gonna acknowledge this at all. The even weirder part is the whole reasoning why they're here, where they have shown no interest in journalism at all in their 2 previous runs in this series. And now they're the assistants to Gale, who the core 4 was supposed to hate before 6. I guess her getting stabbed by Ghostface have forgiven all, I guess. And 2, they barely interacted with her in the last 2 movies, Chad and Mindy specifically. And 3, they literally don't have one scene with Sidney in this whole film.
They don't.
Even though 4, they're staying at her house. It's
So,
and mind you, 5. We got to add 5 to this. Randy was one of Sidney's best friends. Their uncle. So it could be like she's like this surrogate auntie to them, but they didn't have any scenes with her in Scream 5.
Nope.
She wasn't in Scream 6.
Nope.
They are in this movie together.
Yep.
And you choose to do no scenes with them together at all?
You know what I think it is? I think it's a matter of just the amount of changes that this script or this idea had to have, they had already announced that those two were back. So like the idea was, what were you just going to do? Drop them? Like, no, I guess you have to figure out a way to make it work with having them as part of the cast. But then this is not how you do that. Like the idea that they're day one, you're right, don't interact with Sidney whatsoever. Ignoring the fact that there is the Sam and Tara connection between all of them. The Randy connection is stronger than the connection between Sam and Tara that Sam and Tara has with Sidney, which would be reason enough for Sidney to talk to them. On top of that, they had zero inclination. Like we I don't think we knew what Chad was studying in college, but I believe Mindy was a film studies major. She was doing that. Like, so the idea that she would go into like, this isn't film, this is journalism, it's the news. It's that, like, it's very different from film studies or working in film. So like that doesn't make any sense. On top of that, they are at best comic relief throughout this movie, and at worst detrimental, because like they are going to, specifically Mindy, as she is laying out this version of the rules, which that is going to be a ridiculous conversation. It
wasn't. She didn't really even give us the rules.
It was the worst rules monologue in any of these. All she actually does is hurt Tatum's ability to figure out what's going on. Like, which you can at least argue in the previous ones she helped.
Yeah,
she helped.
Even though, you know, it's just like the choices this film has, especially as we go through.
Conveniently, they did arrive when Ghostface was standing in the street. So,
hey, they came at the right time.
Redemption points.
They came at the right time. We see Mindy's trying to take Gale shine and wants to do the reporting, the live report on this, but Gale steps in. We see I forget, he used to be Mateo on All My Children, but he's a local reporter in this movie. He tries to ask Gale some questions, like, do your own reporting, and shoos him away. We get a scene with Mindy and Chad where they explain why they're here, and to Tatum and Mark and stuff. So they have a scene with them, but they don't have a scene with Sidney, because Sidney's talking with Gale when the Stu calls her and basically taunts her, and that's when we have the Melissa Barrera line of oh, you're only here because you got fired from your talk show. And she's like, I didn't get fired, my contract wasn't renewed. There's a difference.
Because you were fired.
Very shady for no reason.
When we were talking, we being like the wrestling world was talking about WWE not renewing contracts, we were like, they got fired.
That's what it is. That's what it is. They got fired.
When Tony Khan said he wasn't going to renew the contract with Big Swole, people said she got fired.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is true. That's true. There is a difference, though. I'll give them credit. There is a difference. WWE a lot of times don't let the contract expire. They just release people.
That's true.
Sidney and Gale, after the call from the Stu clone, decide to get more information on Carl, because Gale has looked up where his mental institution was, and oh my God, I don't think there has ever been a scene where I just said, I'm like watching all these screams. Like, I just try to remember all the times I watched the Scream, because you know, when you meet Billy in Scream 1, you're like, it might be him. It might be him. I've never seen a Scream where it was more obvious. This person's only here because he has to be the killer. Like Marco being introduced at the mental institution. He immediately screamed, he's involved in this.
To go back to my lead-in, when I'm sitting there in the movie theater and I'm watching this and I see that Fallbrook Psychiatric Hospital, whatever the fuck it's that Fallbrook Hospital sign, my first thought was, this looks super cheap. And it looked like the name Fallbrook Hospital, like they couldn't come up with a better name. And then my next thought was, this is something I would see in a Hallmark murder mystery. So then later, when I was thinking about it, and I was like, No, I can't hold them to the same standard that I hold movies in general because, or the Hallmarks do, because like Hallmark doesn't claim that they're a Hollywood production. You do. So I'm going to hold you to the standard of which you are telling me, like, I paid money to watch this, not a Hallmark Plus subscription, so I could watch it on my couch. Like, that's what I did for you. And this is the response I'm getting. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, this like looks like they just found a large house.
Mm-hmm.
Put up a fake concrete blocks that they could paint over with Fallbrook Hospital. And then once we're inside, I'm like, not only does this scene make no sense from the perspective of why this happens to be, like, in essence, 5 miles away from Pine Grove, Indiana, but on top of that, I mean, maybe if they'd done a scene where it was just the two of them driving in the car and they were having a conversation, then I could be like, okay, it's a little bit far away, like that kind of, and I'd be like,
yeah,
but like they don't do that. So I'm like, seems relatively close. And on top of that, you mean to tell me that Gale Weathers, investigative journalist who was able to find the warehouse in Scream 6, did not think to verify anything he says that this guy says? I was like, wait a minute. She's shitting on Kirby, an FBI agent, and saying, hey girl, one day when you stop being a zygote, you're gonna learn how to do a good job at being an investigator. And these two dumbasses take this idiot at his word. I was like, what
face value. I was like, what about this person who is basically violating every HIPAA violation possible?
He goes to them, he's like, oh yeah, this was quote unquote Stu Macher, like the Drifter's room. And my thought process was, he's just showing you an empty room. Like, there's nothing that indicates that this belonged to Stu Macher or anything like that. You don't do
Carl's got all these. Carl's got all these drawings. He even has a framed picture of Tori Spelling, who played Sidney in Stab One.
When the ending of the movie happens and we find out who the killers are, and I thought back, I was like, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me one scene? Scene? Like,
yep.
So all right. So for
at least Roman was seen in like 3-4 scenes.
Roman was seen all over the place. He was the fucking director of the movie. But like this, okay. So I'm not saying that these movies have to follow the golden age rules of crime as Agatha Christie and a lot of these writers used in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and still use today, and 50s and 60s, and still use today. But like one of the number one things is that the same information that's given to the detectives is given to the audience / reader.
Yeah.
No piece of information was given to us that would allow us to figure out, oh, this is who it is. None. And not even for the person we're talking about, but for the other actual Ghostface, there's nothing. This person has one scene in the movie before the reveal. The other person, the actual Ghostface, the one who gets like the final showdown, has 2 scenes.
2.
The first is a coffee shop scene.
I didn't even mention the second one when they're outside the house after the other Ghostface gets revealed.
Because she doesn't talk to Sidney.
No.
She talks to Gale.
Yep. And Gale suspects the son, doesn't suspect her. This is like, when you go over it, when you watch it, you're like, this is bad. When you have to recap it and go over it and think about it for more than just watching it,
because you know what it is? I didn't even realize you skipped the scene where she's talking to Gale and everything until I started talking about this guy only having to do one scene. And I was like, she only has 2. And I was like, we already covered the other one.
Oh, this is so bad. So Marco recognizes Stu when they show him a picture and says he's a recent released John Doe that had no memory from before. He was in Woodsboro living on the street, and he lived in a room next to Carl, and they became good friends. Mindy highlights that since
that's not even how psychiatric hospitals work.
No.
Like, if he was released, that would mean that he remembered his name.
Yes.
So he wouldn't be a John Doe anymore. That should be rule number one, that Gale, you should verify what this person is saying. On top of that, if it was a psychiatric hospital that is rehabbing people to stand trial, because that's also something that psychiatric hospitals do, he would have had to stand trial, which means we would know his name.
Exactly. Mindy highlights that since Ghostface always has a personal connection to the target, that Tatum should bring all of her friends together in one place. He says that it's a curfew, but maybe she can work something out. Then meanwhile, you get Sidney after the whole meeting at the psychiatric place. She finally agrees for Gale to interview her on television to lure in Stu's attention to give him a call while they're on TV. Tatum, her boyfriend Ben, and her friends Chloe and Lucas meet at a tavern. Unbeknownst to them, though, Mark is ambushed back at the house as he hears something going on in the construction in the garage, and he is ambushed by Ghostface, who repeatedly stabs him. And I was just like, you know what? This movie would have gotten like 0.25% better if they just would have had killed Mark. I understand there's some people that are like, oh, I want Sidney to be happy. I don't want her husband to be murdered. But like when you get to the final kill count, these Ghostface didn't do shit, really. It's just a bar scene. It's really just a bar scene and the friend at the school. Mm-hmm. And then two people randomly in the opening that have nothing to do with anybody.
The best part is, if you think about it, like they wiped out all of Tatum's friend group, and like roll credits, right? And then Sidney's finding out that all the friends are dead. She probably just turned to Tatum and was like, "I don't like any of them anyway."
I barely knew them. Did you know them?
I didn't like any of them.
We barely knew them.
She's like, did the boyfriend die?
I mean, he wasn't a protector, was he? During the interview, Gale starts asking personal questions about Tatum and basically making Sidney very uncomfortable to the point that she basically walks off the interview. Stu calls Sidney after the interview and warns that he is outside the tavern, saying that Tatum has broke curfew and she's a very naughty, naughty girl, so he's going to go teach her a lesson. This prompts Sidney to leave. Why does Sidney choose to run 30 minutes away to the tavern instead of running 2 minutes back into the building and getting Gale's keys? Why did Gale decide to stay at the TV station and not help Sidney against Ghostface this time?
All right. So
none of this makes sense. None of this. Oh my god! Like this is.
You know how in Scream 4, I said the pacing slows down with the Stabathon part. Mm-hmm. And then in Scream 6, I said they could have had the reveal of the warehouse be at the, like, it could have moved it to the end and you condense the scenes. And so you move a little bit faster. That's what happens here. The whole movie actually slows down despite the fact that characters are running for their fucking lives. Now, let's back up a few moments. One, I thought it was really cool that Gale has nerve damage. And it was a good shout out to Dewey. Yeah. And just was a great way to have a little bit of character development and for Sidney to realize her friend really needed her in New York and that she needs to, when, things were just happening to Gale, nobody else. Things were just happening to Gale in New York, nobody else. And that's when she needed Sidney. But then they go, all right, my daughter's breaking curfew and is at this tavern. I need to go get her. To your point, she runs out. The door won't open because it's Gale's car. And instead of going back to get the keys, she starts running. Why? Because simultaneously in the tavern, when Tatum goes, I'm going to go to the news station, the boyfriend goes, I'll drive you because it's not far. He specifically says it's not far. So in my mind,
it's not far if you're driving. If you're driving, it's like 5 minutes.
I'm like, okay, so like these are what? 5, 6 blocks away from each other. Like I'm like this cannot be far away. Like it's got to be relatively close. Like I've been to small town Indiana. Like I live in Chicago. We're very close to Indiana. Yeah. My dad was in Indiana for a bit. I've seen small town. Like yeah, I get it. Like, okay, it could be a little bit far, but like, if you're just going to take off running, that means you believe in your cardio, which, you know, more power to you. But, or you can be like, I'm just going to go get these fucking keys. She starts running for no reason. No reason whatsoever. The entire time, I'm like, baby girl, why are you doing it? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, Mindy is gone through these rules, which aren't really, like, she doesn't really actually say anything of value. She just
every time she tries to talk about the rules, Chad interrupts her, or other people just basically interrupt her.
To the point that, like, creepy neighbor's creepy son is like, yeah, I guess it could be me, while wearing blue plaid and trying to be like, they're trying to do that as the giveaway. And then the other friend, the black girl, is like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want. Like, it's fine. Like, there's like this weird flirting between them for no reason. But all right, cool, fine. Then the boyfriend goes, I'll drive you. This dumbass leaves.
Oh my god. I almost forgot the laptop part.
Yeah, this dumbass leaves the tavern for no reason, right? Because, like, you would think her response would be, let me call my mom. Let me tell her where I am. Let me, or at least tell her I'm on my way. I want to talk to her, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Because no, I'm just going to pop up and surprise this bitch. But anyway, she's going to the car with her boyfriend, because her boyfriend volunteered to drive, because it's not far away. She gets into the car, and this guy has had a laptop up and running in the car, not plugged into anything, but just up and running. And what he was doing was creating his own version of the AI deepfake, allegedly, of Stu Macher. Now, okay, I get it. All right. You wanted to see if you could do it? More power to you, my good sir. I personally wouldn't be trying to do that, but hey,
I would be saying, hey, how you doing, guys?
Right.
I wouldn't be like, I'm gonna murder you and gut you like a little.
I'd have been like, yo quiero Taco Bell. Like, do you want fries with that? Like, 407 years ago, our forefather. Like, I would have been doing some dumb shit like that, and that actually would have been funnier, and it would have helped us go, yeah, no, this isn't the killer, right? But like, because like the thing is, why would you give away who the Ghostface is while the Ghostface is not wearing the Ghostface? Like,
exactly.
Like, it's especially when we haven't had an attack. Like, that's the thing. From the time that person, we'll call him Ghostface 1, has died until now, there's no reason for the girl to suspect that there's another Ghostface. They had no reason to suspect. The first time we find out that there's another Ghostface is the call that Sidney got, because they're like, there's probably more than one. But like, so they mean to tell me, if Sidney is not sharing this information about all the previous Ghostface attacks with her daughter, now all of a sudden she's like, okay, by the way, there's going to be at least another one. There could be a third one. There's going to be all this kind of stuff. Like, no, she's not going to tell his daughter shit anyway. So now this girl's just, so then this idiot takes the laptop, smacks this dude in the head with it once, and he's like, but babe, it was just an experiment. And then she whacks him again, and he's knocked the fuck out.
Cold cocks him.
And then what she does is, instead of running back into the tavern, where there were people, she just starts running in the streets. Now, at this point in time, here's another reason why this doesn't make any fucking sense, is because she runs into what is kind of established as downtown Pine Grove. Now, if you've been to small town America, or, you know, you've been to these smaller towns, you know that there's one kind of big super duper main street that has shops on either side and all that kind of stuff. And then everything else kind of branches out from that. If there's a curfew in place, what the cops are just like, hey guys, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set up a curfew.
Where are the cops?
That's what I was about to say. We're going to set up a curfew for 10 p.m., but we're not going to enforce it. We're just going to trust that all of you fine, upstanding citizens in Pine Grove, Indiana, are just going to listen to us for your own safety, and nobody's going to be out in the streets or doing anything after 10 o'clock at night. Like, what in God's green earth is it? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Where there's no cops? There's not even like a cop car where she like bangs on the door and then she looks in and goes, "Oh shit, there's nobody there," and then she keeps running like there's nothing. It's just like no, like okay, so now they're chasing.
It's mind-boggling how bad this got so quickly. We get one Ghostface that chases Tatum, then we get another Ghostface that's in the bar. So you hear the Ghostface is basically going after Chloe, and when she's in the kitchen and she's burnt pizza. Way to go for the daughter of a pizza shop owner. She burns it. He starts attacking her. Chloe gets so like scared and apprehensive about it. She pulls out a knife and she stabs behind her without seeing who it is, and it's actually Chad who got stabbed in the shoulder. Then basically Ghostface basically pushes the knife further into his shoulder and he falls down. He doesn't think to kill him. He just he's like, oh, he's done. You know, he needs to rest right now. Then Mindy attacks him with the pizza lifter and hits him over the head with it, or hits her over the head with it, because I'm pretty sure this is the female Ghostface here. Hits her over the head with it, and she basically slashes her in the stomach, and then she's down and she's out. I guess she like tapped out, but I'm not going to kill them either because they're the core four, so they can't be killed. Then he kills Chloe, who tries to hide underneath the countertop, but he basically the Ghostface basically runs her down and grunts her into like this whole bunch of glass cups, and one of the glass pieces goes into the side of her throat. This is after Lucas, who had just been in the bathroom, he went into the kitchen after Ghostface, and he gets stabbed in the stomach. So then he's still alive even after Chloe is dead. And the Ghostface, which is his mother, drags him, lifts him up, has the power strength of when your kid is in danger, but instead she's putting her kid into danger, and lifts him up and pushes his head into basically the beer dispenser and stabs him. And oh my god, the CGI. This should be a cool murder, but the CGI is just so obvious.
I was like, but there's fucking beer coming out of his mouth. Like, it just made me laugh. I didn't go, oh no, this is terrible. I was like, this is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it's like the beer, and the beer turns into blood. I was like, what did this do? What are we doing? Is this supposed to be a slasher film or a comedy? This is just so Ben eventually finds Chloe after she's been running away from Ghostface, and Ghostface kills Ben right in front of Tatum. Tatum flees to Sidney's coffee shop. Sidney calls Tatum as she's in the coffee shop and tells her to lock herself in the office and get a gun that's in the safe. She tells her that the safe number is her birthday. Sidney is basically watching from her security cameras and following all of this, and she gives Tatum instructions about basically working a gun. She's basically giving her a training day right here in the moment. Following Sidney's instructions, Tatum shoots Ghostface from behind the wall. And once outside of the office, why didn't she just shoot Ghostface in the head? Why was she hesitant to shoot Ghostface in the head? She just shot him, but she's hesitant now to shoot him in the head. Just shoot him in the fucking head. I hate this movie. Ghostface.
Honestly, if she shot him in the leg, I'd have been at least happy with that too. Because like most people, right? Like body armor, I get that part. They don't got body armor for legs. No, nobody wears that shit. Like shoot him in the fucking leg. Like if you're so torn about like I can't kill somebody like the head and all that, like you just for fear or on instinct went for the chest. Ladies and gentlemen, shoot the person in the leg, and then if they try to get up, it'll be harder and they won't be able to catch you.
Yeah.
PSA.
So this was, like you said earlier, this is probably the second most like suspenseful part of like the Ghostface in this movie. Honestly, I'm kind of out of it because I know who the Ghostface are now. Like it doesn't hit the same after you know who this is.
I will say this: I liked the fact that a part of me forgot that everything is so far away that, like, in the sense that, because a lot of times in slashers or just horror movies in general, we will, as an audience, forgive how quickly the killer can move from location to location. So in my mind, I still was like, there's only one other Ghostface. I wasn't at the point where I'm like, there's two. So in this scene, when she does, like, she pulls off the shots, you know, like, she has the emotional thing where she's saying to her mom, I'm not a fighter like you. I'm not, like, I can't do this. And Sidney's just like, you don't have to be a fighter, you have to be a survivor. And so you have to, like, you have to, like, you don't have a choice. You must become, like, I didn't want this for you, but you don't, we no longer have this choice. You need to do this, and you have to do that. And so she, you know, pulls that off. When they do the reveal of the second Ghostface, I was like, all right, that's at least kind of cool. Like, this idea that,
but I kind of already knew, because I was like, there was one Ghostface outside that chased Tatum. And the fact that Ghostface was still behind her, I was like, that can't be the same Ghostface that killed everybody at the bar.
But it's like that level of desperation. It's the what more did she have to do? Like, that part of it, I was like, God damn.
That was a good part. When the second Ghostface outside the front door, I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
Like, I was like, they're not letting this girl get out of shit. And so, like, you have to, like, if you have to imagine, like, if you're Sidney, you're just like, son of a bitch, why did I run here? I could have driven.
I could have just called Gale and said, "Can I get
you know what else is funny as shit? You know, okay, hold on. So a couple things. One, you mean to tell me that Tatum Evans, who is a teenager in 2026, has the ringer on her phone? I don't have the ringer on.
Unbelievable.
I'm more than double her age. But on top of that, you mean to tell me that the wife and daughter of the police chief at no point in time tried to call the father/husband, who is the police chief, or any other cop?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
You're telling me that the cops who were outside of Sidney's house did not see Chad, Mindy, and Tatum leaving after curfew?
No.
You're telling me that this cop and everything, the cops that are outside of the Evans resident, never checked the garage to see that the husband had been almost stabbed to death?
That was actually like a solid hour plus before everything that happened. So you mean to, forgetting checking the garage, you mean to tell me none of them have been trying to call the police chief for the past 2 hours and getting no response, and then was like, well, let's either check the house or call Sidney, call his wife, and be like, hey, do you know where your husband is? Do you know where, like, our police chief is? No, do you have any idea? Like, you know, we're supposed to be doing this curfew thing here, and we're trying to
come into work.
Like, we don't know, like, you know, does he want any barricades up? Does he want, like, anything to do, like, streets? Maybe that's why there's no cops, because the police chief wasn't there to tell them what to do. Oh, now it makes sense. I have to write the movie for them. Got it.
You see, we're pointing out all these logic holes, and I didn't even state the one that I said to you after the movie. This huge logic hole of Tatum couldn't possibly be 17 years old, because we never heard about Tatum. We never heard about Tatum in Scream 4 when she would have been 2 years old. Sidney never mentions her in Scream 4 when she would apparently be 2 years old.
Listen. They gave $7 million to Neve Campbell. Apparently, they didn't pay Kevin Williamson enough, because he was like, I'm writing this and I'm going to direct it. But fuck these guys. He's just like, there's going to be problems with all of this.
There are problems up and down this movie, but we're in the nitty gritty of all the logic holes. So then Sidney gets a call from Ghostface, says that he's at where the heart is, which is home where the heart is. So she goes into the house, and then it's revealed that Tatum is being held captive there, and Sidney finds at the television a message from Stu, who then proceeds to change his face into previous Ghostface, like Nancy Loomis, who said, "Oh, look what you did to my family," and Roman Bridger, who says it's all about family and stuff, and of course I'm not Stu, I'm this, I'm that. And then Sidney's close friend and Gale's late husband Dewey saying that everybody around you always dies, to tell Sidney who he is returning to how the Woodsboro killing started, a person being forced to watch a captive beloved at home outside of the outside the backyard. Sidney goes outside and finds Tatum tied to a chair while Ghostface holds her at knife point. Ghostface reveals himself to be Marco, the counselor from the psychiatric facility that we met once in this movie, who explains he used to have a job at Google, which is
an explanation as to how they were able to pull off this AI shit.
Which he has previous experience in. He has previous experience in information technology and AI to create Stu. He then drags in a wounded Mark, and the other Ghostface is unmasked to be, he says it's Stu at first, but then he reveals that it's actually Sidney's neighbor, Jessica, who we met all of twice before this.
Which, to be fair, is double. That's double what the psychiatric guy got.
This is true. This is true. She explains that after reading Sidney's autobiography, that she took the conclusion that Sidney seceded because she killed those who tormented her, prompting Jessica to murder her abusive husband. But she became such a big fan of Sidney, but then Sidney disappeared from the public life and wasn't even present during the New York City killings. Jessica was disappointed in discovering where Sidney has moved to. She spent time at a mental institution where she met Marco, and ultimately moving next door to Sidney with her son Lucas, who she killed in the tavern, as she considered him too similar to her husband. Oh my God. This is by far, like, I told you in our last review, I took some points off of Scream 6 because the Ghostface reveal was very derivative of what happened in Scream 2. It's a family member coming back for revenge on the hero. Sure. And I thought the overacting by Detective Bailey was atrocious. This was worse. This was like, they said, hold my beer. Like, some people called the Scream 6 reveal one of the worst Ghostface reveals. I know there's some people that think that Roman Bridger is one of the best Ghostface, but I think that reveal is even stupider because Sidney and Roman don't have any scenes together, so it's not as impactful as it should be. I will agree. 3 or 6, probably the worst Ghostface reveal. This is worse. This was 10 times worse. The word salad that she said as an explanation is utterly nimrotic. It's so fucking stupid. Oh my, I've never rolled my eyes more during a movie like this. By the time we get to this part and I hear our explanation, I'm literally like the Undertaker. I'm like...
So she reads Sidney's self-help book and decides to murder her husband. I'm like, I can see that part. Like, I get that part. Like that. All right, I'll walk with you. I'll walk with you through that. I'll walk with you through that. Then she's like, I didn't understand why you didn't go to New York. So I checked myself into a mental institution. To which I said, now we're getting a little murkier. Because if you check yourself into a mental institution, that means either a relative or the state had to step in and take care of your underage child.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. Then you're telling me that for some reason the mental institution that you chose happened to be in the same town or near the same town, like 5 miles away, that Sidney lives in. I'm like, hell of a quinky dink, but okay. Then you're telling me that you fixed yourself or checked yourself out of the mental institution, which would be kind of hard to do, but okay. And then you went and lived in the same town, somehow getting back custody of your child. All of which means, because Scream 6, that movie came out in 2023, you've known, like Sidney has known you for maybe a year.
Yeah.
But Sidney was trusting you enough to have conversations with about how to deal with Tatum and the headbutting between mom and daughter.
Yep.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, she doesn't trust the boyfriend because he's the love interest, in essence, right?
Yeah.
But she's willing to trust this neighbor that she only knows for a fucking year. Like, this doesn't make any sense in how Sidney's brain has worked. This is the same woman that holed herself up in California by herself with a fucking dog and a revolver, no shotgun, but a revolver and multiple phone lines before caller ID really was like that big of a thing. Okay, cool. This is the same woman that in Scream 4, as soon as a body dropped, was like, deuces, I want to leave. I don't trust anybody in this bitch, even like possibly my family. I'm leaving. This is the same Sidney that in Scream 5 was like, of course I'm Sidney fucking Prescott. Of course I have a gun. And then like shows up and is willing to kill people to like defend everything. This is the same Sidney that didn't show up in Scream 6 because she was like, not my business. This is y'all. Y'all went to New York. I didn't tell you to go to New York. You went to New York. Like I said, just stay where you are, but you wanted to leave. Okay, cool. This one's on you, buddy, not me. The same Sidney. Okay. All right. This doesn't make any fucking sense. On top of that, the psychiatric hospital guy, again, he's like, I did a certificate for Google one time. Okay. So I know how to clickety clack on the computer. Okay. Like I can, you know, A squared, B squared, B squared. I'm right there with you, pal. I know how all this works. The computers. I know how to do this. But on top of that, ignoring the fact that this reveal is terrible. If you were gonna pay the money and have Scott Foley, I forget the name of the lady of the woman who plays Nancy Loomis.
Laurie Metcalf, I think
Marlene. Okay, we'll go with that.
I'll tell you. Laurie Metcalf.
Laurie Metcalf, Scott Foley, David Arquette, and Matthew Lillard. You're going to bring them all back and pay them the money. You are going to use 3 out of the 4 for at best 10 seconds of dialogue. Why wouldn't you have sprinkled them throughout the movie? Like because the whole thing then like could be if real, because then the problem is the belief is
mind you, like they only like slightly made Sidney and Gale believe that it's Stu.
Right.
They kept saying throughout it, oh, it has to be deepfake. Oh, it has to be AI. They literally never even made them believe that it could actually be Stu.
The only reason to not show them would be if you really wanted people to believe, including like in the movie, the actual characters to believe, plus the audience, that it was Stu. But if that was the case, don't bother doing the deepfake shit at all. Like, don't bother bringing in Foley, Arquette, and Metcalf at all. But if you are going to bring them in, then sprinkle it throughout the movie, because then the idea is if it's not Stu, if it really is like a deepfake person, then it reinforces this idea that you can't trust anybody. And it helps hammer home the lesson that Sidney was trying to teach Tatum in the beginning of the movie, which is like, yes, the trust but verify. Like this guy like in essence breaks into the house, kick him the fuck out. Like you don't no you have to actually be able to vet somebody before we're comfortable enough to let somebody do something like that. Like the entire, like, I don't know what message the movie's trying to tell me when it comes to the trust thing, because Sidney later is going to say like my problem is, yes, that I don't trust people, but it's like, yeah, but this was just proven to be right. You were just proven to be right. Like, I get the idea, like, yeah, you're overreacting, so that's why you're saying you don't trust, like you're saying Tatum was the only person I ever trusted, right? Like the implication being that you don't trust Gale. But like, okay, yeah, you can say to Gale, my problem, but we're seeing clear evidence that you are correct not to trust people. So what exactly are you telling me? And then this reveal is just, it's so dumb. Like, these characters had no, like, for the reasons I covered, like, it doesn't make any sense on a timeline basis. And it doesn't, like, where was this going? Where was this going? It's like they had 3 different ideas of who the killer should be. And then they were like, well, we can't use this. We can't use this. If we do some kind of weird amalgamation Frankenstein of these ideas, we'll come up with some kind of killer. And my problem is, and this, as we're nearing the end of covering this movie, my problem is that they are going to see the box office results and not the audience response. And they're going to double down on what the things that made this movie bad, because they're going to think that that's what made the movie good. Yeah.
It's sad. It's a sad case of you made money, so you're not going to realize the problems that you created. So Jessica explains she will turn Tatum into the new Sidney by repeating the trauma offense that turned her into the final girl. But Mark, who is still alive, even though he got stabbed multiple times in the chest and he's been bleeding out for hours, Mark cuts Tatum free and she attacks Jessica, just as Sidney, who's a great shot, shoots Marco right in the head, dead. So he was in the movie he was in the movie for all of 10 minutes. Jessica then flees, and Sidney gives chase to her before they fight, only stopping once Tatum shoots Jessica, but she doesn't shoot her in the head. She didn't learn the lesson yet. As Jessica's about to attack again, both Sidney and Tatum, they shoot her head off with awful CGI once again. It's three scenes, 3 kills that they ruined in this movie.
The face, like, kind of melting off, like, just like they exposed the bone and the flesh. I'm like, yeah, well, all right.
Why? In the aftermath, Mark is taken to the hospital, which Sidney doesn't go into the ambulance with him, which I did find weird as well. I know Aubrey said this earlier in the chat. He says, I hated the ending. She's talking to Gale Weathers while her husband is bleeding out in the ambulance. I said, bitch, go to your husband. I was like very confused. I was like, why are you not going into the ambulance with the husband? But okay. Sidney thanks Gale for having her back. Gale did not have your back. Gale stayed at the TV station while you and your daughter had to make the save.
Wait, but said you got to remember, earlier in the movie, even though it doesn't make sense, she ran over Ghostface while he was standing in the street. She was there.
She did have her back for one of the Ghostface. Having her back, and she tells Tatum about her namesake, saying that Tatum was brave, Tatum was always outspoken, and she was funny, and she was the one friend that she always trusted, so that's why she gave Tatum that name. And she was like, do you have any questions? And she was like, that's good for now. And they had this little mom and daughter moment. With Gale's blessing, Mindy provides an impromptu news report about the night's event, so we get dual passing of the torches, where now Mindy is the sideline reporter and now Tatum is the final girl. So that was Scream 7. That was definitely Scream 7. Final thoughts before we give our ratings, StatKing.
I'm gonna keep what I want to say to myself.
Was it worse watching it or worse recapping all of this and pointing out the logicals?
No. It was worse watching it because at least here I was able to make jokes and laugh about it. I was saying to Colleen in the theater about things that didn't make sense, and even though there was only one other person in the theater, my wife believes at all times that I'm too loud at a movie theater, so she was constantly telling me to be quiet. So I was having less fun in the theater. But I'll keep my thought, my real thoughts to myself. But I really wish there had been a way that Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega in this movie.
That would have been the idea of Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega in this movie.
Even if they
would have made it better. It would have made it better.
Even if they decided, we're not gonna go like we kill a cash cow by having Melissa Barrera like Sam finally turn heel, or like fully turn heel. We don't want to kill that cash. Even if they kept her face, it would have been better. It would have been better than this. Because and the thing is, what upsets me about this also is similar to Gale saying the thing about I wasn't fired, my contract simply wasn't renewed, which is an indirect shot at Melissa Barrera as a real person, and Courtney Cox is willing to say that during this final fight. Part of what the mom's motive is to create the new final girl, right? And like this idea of sort of refreshing the concept, which again is the bare minimum of meta commentary that we got throughout this entire movie. There was like zero actual commentary.
There was zero. And I know Kevin Williamson, he came out and said this was going to have less meta commentary. And I'm like, that's Scream.
That's the point.
That's the point of Scream.
So even though they're doing this like meta commentary, like the implication, because what Sidney does is when they're killing this bitch, she's like, who said anything about being too old or too, like not good enough anymore? And like that also is kind of an indirect shot, not intentionally, like not shot like at Melissa Barrera the person, but why Melissa Barrera was brought in the first place, why Jenna Ortega was brought in the first place, was because the studios wanted a newer final girl. They wanted somebody fresh, and that was why they didn't offer Neve Campbell the amount of money for Scream 6 that she believed she was worth, which, know your worth, queen. No, I'm never going to stand between somebody and getting their bag. Like, that's completely 100% understandable. But that's why that was from the studio's perspective. So again, it's interesting that Kevin Williamson writes this line. Neve Campbell agrees to say this line. And interestingly, that Paramount is okay with this line being said. The shit about Melissa Barrera earlier, I get. This time, they are so desperate. I can smell the desperation on this film to your point. Like, they're so desperate that they're like, we need to get these people back because we have all this money tied up and we want to be able to, we know we're going to make money off of these movies, but we need to have people in there to generate that. And Tex is a great point. It's going to be interesting to see the second week of the box office for this. I think it's going to have a huge decline. I don't think there's great word of mouth for this. Almost all the reviews, almost all of the responses to this, both from a critic perspective and from a fan perspective, is that this is not great. And I get it. Like, critic is whatever, because like there are plenty of movies that critics have hated that I've really enjoyed. So I don't necessarily put a lot of stock in what the Rotten Tomatoes aggregator says. But when we look at like the audience scores, those are the people that you need to give a movie legs in order to continue to generate box office returns. So if they're going to try to chase opening weekend success, its law of diminishing returns is going to kick in sooner rather than later. If not Scream 8, absolutely for Scream 9. So I don't think they set themselves up well whatsoever.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. But as we did with the retro reviews, we will try to figure out who are the best characters in this film. I'm just gonna say, I thought Tatum, I think is Isabella May is the actress. Isabel May is the actress. She did a better job than what I thought she would. And like I said, Sidney and Tatum's dynamic was the best. So Sidney and Tatum for best characters. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, everybody else either doesn't have screen time or doesn't get developed with the screen time that they have. It's almost by default, Sidney and Tatum.
MVP, I'm gonna go for Tatum.
Ooh, that's
I would go for Sidney, but I don't know. I can't. I don't think I can.
It's tough for me because like a part of me wants to think as though like if this girl had demonstrated like a little bit more of a spine earlier in life, that her mom would have maybe talked to her about these things, or maybe would have trained her a little bit, or at least taught her how to take the safety off a gun. Your father is a police chief after all. Like, you don't think he would have taught you to do this? Like, what is this? What is going on here? But, you know, I can only deal with what the movie presents me. And in that situation, she's the MVP almost by default.
Almost by default. Yeah. LVP, the ghost faces, Jessica and Marco.
I'll agree with you. Can I give an honorary mention to the twins? Because what the fuck are they doing in this?
Why are you here? Why are you here?
I don't know why. It's not even a question of like, were they detrimental, which they were, but it's like, why were you even here? Like, we could have had the kids be detrimental all on their own. Like, we could have themselves all on their own. You know what actually would have been even better? Here's what would have been even better. If they had not had Chad and Mindy, they did still find a way to do the bar scene. Like, maybe Tatum's like, I want to figure out what's going on. I'm going to get all my friends together. She gets there, and like somebody on a laptop plays just the clip of Randy laying out the rules from either Scream 1 or Scream 2, just as a YouTube video. Like, not even actually Randy, but like the stab version of Randy.
Yeah.
The rules from Stab 1 or Stab 2. And then the kids get detrimental all on themselves because they misunderstand what this guy meant. That would have been, that's really what Chad and Mindy are there for. They serve no other purpose.
Yeah, pretty true. And then we got our thumbs in the middle for Scream 7 in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs down from both of us. Out of 10, what you giving this movie?
Oh my God. I want to say like a 4.5.
I went into this review being like, it's probably like a 5 out of 10. Because I was like trying to think on the positive side. But going through this movie, you're probably right. I'm gonna go lower than that. I'm gonna go 4 out of 10. It's a 4 out of 10 movie. And that's probably why, for anyone who watches the True Hill Heat Wrestling YouTube channel, that's probably why I was so pissed off talking about Elimination Chamber. Because I went to sleep right after Elimination Chamber, and then the first thing I did Sunday morning was watch this movie. So I got compounded with a mid-ass pay-per-view, and then this awful movie.
Come on, man. You didn't appreciate one of the greatest swerves ever where Randy Orton wins the Elimination Chamber.
The oldest guy in the matchup wins the chamber. Congrats. The door is open for 10 minutes.
You know the funny part of this is that means like they knew they wanted to end up with a multi-man match at Mania, but they weren't like, you know what? We could just make it a 5-way and put either Trick or Javon in there. No. By having one of them pin, one of them win the chamber, and then they have an excuse to feature one of these young up and comers.
No, they had to give Logan Paul the same booking they were going to give Bronson Reed, because we should be booking Bronson Reed and Logan Paul the same.
You just got to try to be humble. All right. When you're humble, great things happen for you.
4 out of 10. We will be back one last time to talk about, well, 2 more times probably to talk about Scream, but the next time y'all see us, we will be ranking every Scream movie. If you've been following along with our retro reviews, you could probably put it together already, but we wanted to do a standalone video, so that will be pre-recorded where me and StatKing will rank every Scream movie. But as you can hear from our scores, you already know what the last place is. StatKing, thank you once again for joining me. I have a lot of fun talking about these films that we usually love. We usually love it. Usually love it. Man, you are not just you're not just generous, sir. You're not just generous. He says I should give it a 5. I mean, you're still being generous.
There's good, like there's a couple good things about this. Like there's the cool arc of Tatum developing and becoming like a person with a spine. There is some interesting like clothing choices for Tatum as well. Like they do try to evoke like that early 90s, mid 90s look that Sidney and some of the kids had in Scream 1 and Scream 2. There's the scene in the house. That is a great
I thought the father did well.
Yeah.
When this actor usually plays like either a jerk or a comedian. So to have him play like a very serious like cop who's the father, I thought he did very well in that. Like there's 3 characters in this movie that are really well done, and there's some enjoyment out of Gale the character because of nostalgia and stuff. But
imagine if they had confirmed some theories and shelled out the money for Patrick Dempsey.
That would have been nice. That would have been nice. It's Logan Paul. Why? But here we are. This is the end of our Scream review. StatKing, going to give you the floor first. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and when they'll see you again.
You guys can always catch me here on the True Heel Elite Sports and Entertainment channel. We've got True Picks and True Off Season, where Chase and I cover everything that happens in the NFL. We're in True Off Season, and we will be coming back sometime this week to talk about everything that happened from the Combine, as well as some interesting releases and trades that we got. I mean, as we did this, as Sid and I were doing this morning, we had a pretty blockbuster, at least from the perspective of the Lions trade that they gave up. They're giving away David Montgomery, one of their big running backs. So there's a lot of things to talk about in the world of football, but there's also a lot of things to talk about in the world of entertainment. It's sports and entertainment, this channel, for a reason. And so also Chase and I, we on a weekly basis now, we are clocking in and talking about The Pit. We're going to be doing that this week as well to bring you everything that happened in season 2, episode 2, I think with maybe episode 2 and 3. Chase is very interested in combining them. But we will be coming back to you to talk about that. And then Sid and I, we broke down the J. Cole Fall Off album, and we'll be coming back to you soon with more conversations about music. So as always, you can catch me here, fingertips and fingers and spinning a bunch of different plates as it was. So Sid, thank you as always for having me on here. I love chopping it up and talking about our favorite, one of our favorite horror series of all time. Which I don't know, they shot themselves in the foot. Nobody told them.
Yeah, they did it to they didn't have to do Scream 7. My missus said they should have stopped after 3, and I was like, 6 was actually good, but yeah, here we are. But yes, like StatKing said, check out Clocking In, where they're gonna review The Pit season 2. Check out their True Heel Headphone Heat with the Fall Off review. We'll be back with True Headphone Heat after this coming week. We got a lot to discuss with 50 Cent versus T.I. and Casino by Baby Kim. So we'll be back with some True Headphone Heat in a bit. And of course, check out all of our Scream reviews for 1, 2, 3, which are 3 enthusiasts. Y'all are finally on the up. Y'all are not at the bottom anymore. We got 4 Scream 4 review, Scream 5 review, and Scream 6 review. And like we said before, we'll be ranking every single Scream film that will be dropping this week as well. For the StatKing, it is me, your Trill Phenom SP3. This has been our Scream 7 review. We are signing off until